Ciao everyone, and welcome to another Mike Loves Sicily Procession style. Now I know what you're thinking. You're asking yourself, Mike, you just made a whole video about the Misteri Procession in Trapani a little while ago. How can you be doing another in-depth exploration of an event where the whole town comes together to carry a statue around the streets with bands and priests and fun? Well, because that's just how I roll. If you carry a statue around in my town, I want to know everything about it. Listen, even though I'm not terribly religious, these super old traditions really fascinate me. So today, I'm going to tell you about Santo Francesco di Paola, known here as Santo Padre. Now we have to start all the way back on March 27th of 1416. This is the day that Francis was born in the small Calabrian town of Paola. Little Francis, named after Francis of Assisi, became ill when he was just 1 month old and was in danger of losing his eyesight. His mother prayed to Francis of Assisi and promised that if he were healed, then her Francis would spend a year in the Franciscan friary. Guess what? Little baby Francis healed, his mother thanked God, and when he was 13, off to the convent he went. Within a year, he had dedicated his life to the church and to the worship of his patron saint, St. Francis of Assisi. Shortly thereafter, he went full hermit and actually lived alone in a cave for 6 years, where he dedicated himself to prayer and lived on almost nothing as far as food, shelter, comforts. Others joined him, and he began his own religious order called the Minims. As the years went on, he built monasteries around Calabria and eventually headed to Sicily to start a monastery in Milazzo. And in April of 1464 is when Francesco had his defining moment, the miracle of the Strait of Messina. So Francis and a couple disciples were trying to catch a boat ride across the Strait of Messina, but were denied because they had no money. What did Francesco do? He took off his cloak, laid it down in the sea, took his staff, made a little sail, and the 3 guys sailed across the strait on his cloak. And this miracle is what eventually made him the patron saint of seafarers, boatmen, mariners, and naval officers. A couple more interesting tidbits. He was a strict vegan, which was almost impossible back then, and he was known to bring living things back from the dead, including fish, sheep, and even people, including his own nephew. He died at 91 years old in 1507, and not long after, he was made the patron saint of Calabria and was celebrated all around Europe. He was especially popular in port cities, which brings us here to Trapani. So in the mid-1500s, his popularity was growing, and in Trapani, they often prayed to a statue of him made by Sicilian sculptor Vincenzo Gagini. This becomes particularly important a couple hundred years later, in 1726, when a big earthquake hit Trapani. It is said that the Trapanese people went to the statue and prayed so hard and for so long that the statue of Francesco actually started sweating on his face and hands. This event was viewed as a sign that Francesco was protecting the city, and he was thus named Protector of the City. Now the love for Francesco grew exponentially, and in 1729, artist Giacomo Tartaglia constructed a giant 7-foot-tall wooden statue of him that kicked off a 300-year celebration, which takes place in April every year in Trapani. So here we are, 300 years later, and the first Wednesday after Easter is when the Scenuta begins. This year, I was there that day when they bring him out for the first time and he dances around in the piazza. There's an evening when he's dressed in silver, a morning to organize the platform and the candles, a day to set up the floral arrangements, and there are multiple masses throughout the 2-week span before finally, on the second Sunday after Easter, they have a procession.
Okay, we're moments away. You can see Santo Padre up there, and it's about to happen, so great energy here. It's crazy out there in the square. Everybody's already here. It's early. People are ready to go.
For the last many years, the guy running the Francesco di Paolo show in town is Carlo D'Amico, and we caught up with him moments before things started.
How are you feeling right now?
Come ti senti adesso?
Abbastanza emozionato perché è una processione che si aspetta da un anno, quindi la viviamo con tanta emozione e tanta devozione. Poi sono pure un marittimo e quindi essere qui per questa processione per me fa tanto.
Cosa importante per Trapani?
Perché è una città di marittimi e di pescatori, quindi lui protettore nostro, quindi siamo molto attaccati a questo santo, San Francesco di Paola.
Perfetto, all right, let's go.
Santo Padre, tu che dello Spirito Santo fosti illuminato, le tante fedeli sia amato e venerato, a te affidato nei nostri calvari, protegge a viaggi e alle nostre case. Viva San Francesco di Paolo!
Now, this statue is absolutely no joke. Get this, the statue alone weighs over 650 pounds, but all together, with the statue, the candles, the flowers, the platform, the poles, it weighs about 4,000 pounds, or 2 tons. For reference, that's the weight of a mid-sized sedan. So yeah, it takes close to 40 people to lift this guy up.
Somehow we got access to right in the midst of the insanity. He's about to exit, and the whole town is here, man. It's very intense. I was right in the middle of the guys, and these guys are very passionate. Okay, it's different from the Misteri where it's like kind of a grieving, slow, sad thing. These guys are excited about Santo Padre. They are amped up.
And so it begins. And when they exit the church with the statue, and because it's so darn heavy, they only walk a couple of meters at a time before resting. It all starts here in the appropriately named Piazzetta San Francesco di Paola, in the middle of the historic center of Trapani. As I've mentioned before, my apartment is just down the street from here, and in this piazzetta there's a bar where I come for coffee or wine or a snack pretty much every day. And let me tell you, this is not the scene I'm used to seeing here. Similar to the Misteri procession, the exit of the church is a very important part of the day. They then carry the statue through the narrow streets of the old town, and people come out of their balconies to honor Santo Padre. Some of them throw flowers, and others just want to see him up close, or even touch him. The mood of this procession is much more festive and positive. The music style has more of a circus vibe, and it's much more of an uplifting celebration, rather than the funeral dirge of the Misteri. We were able to walk right along with the statue during the procession, and Carlo kept us updated on how things were going.
How is it going so far today?
Come sta andando adesso?
Very intense.
Sta andando che l'emozione aumenta sempre di più, le persone sono tantissime, il santo cammina in mezzo alla popolazione, al popolo, ed è questo quello che vogliamo noi, anche se facciamo camminare avanti perché è pericoloso, però è questo, San Francesco di Paola dobbiamo vivere tutti dobbiamo viverlo, perché è del popolo.
Yeah, the energy is definitely different from the Misteri for this. It's a lot
Dice che l'energia che si sente è completamente diversa da quella dei Misteri.
Sì, è totalmente diverso. L'aria, il modo come viene portato, perché queste adesso non sono marce funebri ma sono marce allegre, quindi siamo a festa, è una festa.
Fantastic. All right, well, we're going to catch up with you in a little while, okay?
Ok, ci vedremo di nuovo. Grazie.
As the Santo moves through the city, they make their way to Corso Italia for an important change in the procession. But before that, we met up with Don Giuessepe, a very important part of the proceeding.
Okay, we're here with Don Giuessepe. He's the head of the Francesco di Paolo procession.
Sì, dal 2020 sono il rettore della chiesa di San Francesco di Paolo.
Okay, so I've heard some little stories that they use Santo Padre as a way to scare the children. They say he's going to come at night and hit you with his staff.
È diciamo una diceria che sicuramente serviva alle mamme per incutere un po' di timore ai figli. Però San Francesco di Paolo era un uomo buono e quindi ha cercato da sempre di aiutare gli altri, di conseguenza non ce lo vedo in questa sua modalità di prendere a bastonate gli altri. E trovano in San Francesco di Paola certamente tanta forza. Non c'è un'imbarcazione, una nave che non porta a bordo un'immagine, una statuetta di San Francesco di Paola, proprio perché in lui trovano quella forza necessaria per affrontare le tante difficoltà che vivono a bordo.
So after a few hours of 40 people carrying this extremely heavy statue, they finally transfer it to a cart. It's just much too heavy to be carried by these guys all day. So the next part of the procession is via this cart, which makes its way through the streets with different people from the town helping to pull and push the saint towards the port.
What's the significance of this cart? Who made the cart?
Allora, la persona che l'ha fatta di preciso non lo so chi l'ha fatta, però è una cosa abbastanza antica, e infatti ha delle ruote non sono gommate.
Who's driving the cart? Who's driving?
Quello che lo frena è mio padre.
It's your padre?
Sì.
Ah.
E l'altro è uno che fa parte pure del comitato
So you have Santo Padre and your real padre.
come particolare.
No.
Frenatore.
No?
Autista e frenatore.
Frenatore, autista e frenatore. What's this cool necklace he has? What? The cool necklace he has.
Il freno questo.
Questo qua invece che cos'è?
Questo è il simbolo del santo.
Ok. Simbolo del santo.
Simbolo del santo.
Simbolo del santo.
Simbolo di tutto. Però c'è una cosa, lui è meno graduato, io sono più graduato.
Ah, ok, questione di grado.
Io ce l'ho in argento, lui ce l'ha. Io ce l'ho in bronzo.
I will say it's a little less exciting because it's just being wheeled around. It's about to run me over, actually, which maybe that will be exciting. But for now, we're going to follow along with the cart. We're going to be going past a little place called Barbigiani. Maybe I'll stop there.
Okay, well, unfortunately, there was no time to stop at Barbigiani, but I do want to take some time to appreciate this huge band that followed the procession all day and all night. They were really something. Different families help at different moments of the procession, and it seems people of all ages have a loyalty and love for San Francesco.
Come va, Giuseppe? Bene?
What's their connection to Santo Padre?
Qual è la vostra connessione con il santo? La nostra vita. Their life.
Their life.
And as we made our way towards the port, we had a chance to get the perspective from Trapani's mayor, Giacomo Tranchida.
C'è un messaggio che viene da San Francesco, un messaggio a cui, credenti o meno, ci dobbiamo tutti un po' ispirare. Atteso che i mari non dividono, se ci riflettiamo un attimo, uniscono invece le terre e i monti, perché c'è il mare come dire, una massa liquida e un muro liquido che non divide. Utilizziamo un altro concetto, che i mari e le maree invece uniscono popoli, culture, religioni anche diverse. Il messaggio che parte è un messaggio di pace, che solchi i mari e possa fare incontrare i popoli. Qui da Trapani parte questo messaggio, protezione ovviamente per i marittimi e i pescatori, memoria per chi non c'è più, ha perso la vita in mare per motivi diversi, ma soprattutto un messaggio di pace.
Well, thank you very much. It's a fantastic procession.
Now, as we arrived at the port, we were getting to the heaviest moment of the day. The whole town gathers around at the edge of the port, and a prayer is made to all of those men and women and families who are associated with the seas in Trapani and who over the years have lost their lives. All their names are read off with a blessing from the priest via Santo Padre.
Ci sia in noi la tristezza di chi non sa scoprire i segni dell'eternità, ma con fiducioso abbandono ci affidiamo a colui che consola ogni nostra tribolazione. Preghiamo.
Maranzano Giovanni, Mauro Ignazio, Merlino Claudio, Mirabile Antonio, Mirabile Salvatore, Randazzo Filippo, Pompeo Massimiliano, Garuccio Giuseppe, Carriglio Nicolò, Corso Antonio, Romano Nicolò, Mineo Gaspare, Mineo Giuseppe, Mineo Gioacchino Di Giovanni.
After the prayer, Don Pepe told us to get on the boat for the ceremonial ride around the port. This was an incredible moment where I could really start to feel how important this day, this saint, and this sea is to the people of Trapani.
Okay, we're out on a boat at sea here. We were given the privilege to join a few select people here while the priest, Don Giuessepe, did a symbolic loop around the port. In honor of all that we've lost in Trapani at sea. So it's a very special, particular moment because, as we know, Santo Padre, he's about the sea, he's about the fishermen, and as you can see here, the whole town is at the port waiting for us.
We continued through the streets making stops at businesses and homes. And I myself even got a chance to get involved with the transport. As the sun started to set, we met up again with Carlo, who was displaying a new artistic endeavor he'd been working on.
Niente, questa è stata creata da me durante il lockdown, il primo lockdown del Covid. L'ho iniziata il giorno di Pasquetta. Eravamo tutti a casa, non avevo nulla da fare, la passione per le processioni è tanta, la mancanza della processione era tanta e quindi sono sceso in garage e ho cominciato a riprodurre la vara con foto, video che vedevo, e tutto fatto a mano, sì, un po' di lavoretti, tutto con roba riciclata.
Sì.
L'aureola è fatta con una lattina di Coca-Cola.
So finally night fell, and one of the culminating moments of the day is when the statue is brought to the fish market, where it's moved around and given respects to and from every boat at the marina. It's a beautiful moment that is capped off with an amazing display that any American would be impressed by.
Ho visto una partecipazione forse raddoppiata rispetto all'anno scorso. Proprio non avevo visto tanta gente da quando
Quindi
ci sono
grandissimo
io.
successo.
Sì.
Siamo tutti soddisfatti perché sta andando tutto per come doveva andare. Certo, ogni anno c'è sempre da migliorare per qualcosa, però tutto procede bene. Perché per l'amore di San Francesco di Paola si fa tutto.
But that's not it. Now there's a whole other long night procession where everyone comes out and they march the saint through the streets again and head the band down Corso Vittorio Emanuele, the main street in Trapani's downtown.
Santo Padre me diletto, venica chi t'aspetto, un facemo torta all'altri, sempre viva Santo Padre.
Viva San Francesco di Paola! Viva!
Finally, at about midnight, the meeting point is back in the Piazzetta for the return of the saint to his home in the church. He's removed from the cart and is once again lifted by a large group of 40 men to make the final walk into the church.
Perché sentano sempre l'aiuto del loro protettore, siano liberi da ogni pericolo.
Continuiamo a camminare nella pace e accogliamo il Santo nella nostra Chiesa.
I was instructed to stay close to the police in this moment, as this emotional scene can get very intense. I was absolutely blown away by what I'd seen that day during the procession. It's just another one-of-a-kind aspects to this incredible city of Trapani, and I could really understand why it's so important. What I've learned about Trapani in my short time is that the sea is the most important thing. I myself even feel it as I go to the beach daily. But the town lives off of this. The fishermen, the fish, the ferries to the islands, the beach, the sea, the water. It is Trapani. And that's why this saint and this day is so important to the people of Trapani.
Okay, well that's it. Lots of love to Francesco di Paolo, Santo Padre. I will now, say a prayer to the Santo Padre. And farewell, have a good night. That's another procession for you in Trapani. Thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks to the city of Trapani, and thanks to everybody that spoke with me, Don Giuessepe, Carlo, and everybody else. A really special day in Trapani. So take care. Ciao.